And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Ron Bockstahler. Now, Ron, thanks for squeezing me into your schedule and being on my show.
Oh, Mike, thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. It's going to be a great conversation. Ron is the owner of multiple different businesses, but what I want to talk with you today is about your Amata Law Suites, the Amata Corporation. AmataCorp.com is the key website there. But what he does, what he and his team do is they work primarily with attorneys to provide a suite of services from paralegals to VAs to phone answering, live people who answer the phone, intake, things of that nature. But Ron, you're going to do a much better job than me. But when I found you and figured out what you did, I thought, man, this is really cool. I want people to hear about this. So tell us just a tad bit about you and how in the world did you get to where you are today, man?
Well, I'm not sure how you got the right guy on your show, Experts Speak, but I'll do my best. I started off running the back office for large law firms. Think Lord Bissell and Brooks, Sidley and Austin, big at the time, they were all AM 200 law firms. And so I understood that industry very, very well. And I traveled 250 days a week or a year. And it was, I thought, gosh, there's got to be a better way to make a living. I want to get married and have kids. So I thought I'll start my own business and work less.
There you go.
That's kind of like the beginning, right? Wow.
Right. Yeah.
I think most people don't look at it that way. I don't think most people work less when they start their own company, but I did.
Yeah. That's amazing. Because you're right. Usually it's you only have to work half days, right? You choose which 12 hours you work.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, that's
we started Amata. It was Amata, just Amata offices basically. And we were basically pretty generic. We would take anyone into shared office space. This was back in 2002. And we competed with the HQs and the Regencies of the world. And we were in Chicago. That was our market. Down the road, you've seen 08 and 09 was that financial downturn.
Yeah.
And I thought there's got to be a better business model. I mean, that was hard. And we decided we knew the legal industry very, very well. And most of our attorneys didn't default on us. And most of our attorneys are, like most attorneys, like 75% of all attorneys work in a firm of 5 or fewer attorneys, and 50% are solopreneurs.
Right.
I know that field real well. Let's cater to law firms. And so in 2012, we started catering to law firms, and it's worked out very well. So today, space, we still have office space, but it's like our third offering. Our biggest offering is support services, attorney support services. So we have paralegals on demand, senior paralegals, 25, 30 years experience that enjoy working with multiple attorneys. We have virtual assistants on staff. We have legal admin. If someone needs someone run to the court, you need a filing done, you need a summons dropped off at the sheriff's office. We handle all those things. You don't got to come to the city to do it. So that's been our core business. Second biggest piece of our business is phone answering, live phone answering, doing call intake, making sure that new prospects calling a law firm are being well taken care of when the attorney's not available. Mm-hmm. Entering information into their practice management software. So when the attorney does call that potential client back, they have all their information. So that's the second piece. And then of course, office space. People still want office space even in this, the world we're living in.
Yeah. Well, and it's a big deal for some attorneys because people want to go to an office to sign papers or to meet with you. And what you offer there is I call it a shared arrangement, right?
Absolutely.
But it's got to be more cost effective and camaraderie. You don't have to work by yourself, and you don't have to replace the air conditioner when it goes out.
It's funny you say camaraderie. Built-in networking. And what I found in my 30 years of working with law firms is a lot of attorneys aren't very good at networking, getting out and meeting new attorneys, but yet they get 80% of the business from other attorneys. So what we offer is a built-in networking opportunity. Now we still host a lot of social events for law firms, for attorneys in general, for CLE events where they can meet other attorneys. But if you're just thinking you're walking down the hall and you're talking to 5 attorneys that aren't in your firm, that's 5 prospects that you could be getting business from. That's and right. Giving them business. So it's a natural networking event. Every day you come into the office at Amata.
That's pretty cool. I like that. So let's unpack a little bit more deeply the paralegal aspect of it, the phone answering aspect of it, because a lot of our listeners are attorneys who are those small attorneys. They're solopreneurs. They have fewer than 10 employees, and they're wearing multiple hats all the time. and they may not be ready to hire another paralegal or something. Talk about that. How do you help them bridge that gap, and what would it actually look like? I'm sure you have a story of somebody doing that, but give us some context around what that looks like for an attorney.
We were just talking about a case recently where we had a client who was in a federal case. He was in trial for 8 days, and our paralegal, one of our senior paralegals, was actually on trial with him all 8 days. So here's the benefit: is he's billing her time back to his clients, but he's only being billed for the time that he can bill back to his clients. So that's 100% utilization. So there's like two things you want to think about when you're in a law firm, and solo or small businesses. You think about leverage, leverage other people's resources and utilization. If you're going to have an employee, can you get 100% utilization? Most of us, absolutely not. We're happy with 75 or 80%, but that 20 or 25% of underutilization comes directly out of your profits.
Right.
So if you're looking at the old business model that a person's salary is 1/3 of the equation, their overhead is another third, and your profits are the other third. If you don't have 100% utilization, you don't get that full third on your profits. So
right.
You feel a lot of stress when you have a law firm, and one of them is your cash flow and profitability. Find ways to increase your profitability by leveraging other people's resources. And that's what using one of our paralegals is. It's utilizing our resources, and you're getting 100% utilization out of that resource. And we can make it happen because we can also get 100% utilization, because in Chicago, we have 800 law firms. So we have plenty of work coming in that as soon as they're done with one project, that paralegal is working on a different project.
That's amazing.
The brilliance of, and it's the same paralegals we talk, legal admin and virtual assistants, the same thing, right? Same concept. They just do different jobs.
Right. And so, all right, so let's switch jobs from paralegal, which is really cool because all of your paralegals are fully qualified, right? And they've got great experience. So it's not like you're going to have a training period that an attorney hires your firm to bring in a paralegal. Now I've got to train them for 3 months or 6 months. They're probably hitting the ground running very quickly, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. To become a paralegal at Amata, you have to have a minimum of 10 years working experience. If you don't have that, then you're a paralegal assistant in our structure.
Okay.
So yeah, to be a paralegal, you're going to have some experience. You're going to be anywhere from, I'd say, 10 to 30 years experience.
Okay, so well qualified there. Now let's jump to the next section that you talked about. That's really important is termed many times call center, right? Intake. Really critical for all types of attorneys, that when somebody calls, they get somebody to answer that phone, and somebody who's not just knowledgeable, right? But I want compassion. I want somebody who understands I'm going through something, and it's got to be a good voice on the end. Talk to us about that. How could a small firm attorney engage with Amata to say, okay, I need somebody answering my phones, working on the intake aspect, but also, I guess, the questions that come in, so the attorney can stay focused on billable hours and serving their clients versus picking up the phone and answering questions, right?
Let's back up and talk about the number one thing I hear from a lawyer, a solo practitioner, a partner practice law firm is, I want to answer my own phone. Well, that's great, except what do you do when you're actually with another client, or you're actually practicing law, the work you're getting paid for? If you're stopping to pick up the phone every time, you're not an effective lawyer. Yeah. It's as simple as that. So, and then the times you're with your other clients, hopefully you're not saying, oh, hold on, let me go answer the phone. And that's basically saying the person that I don't know who is on the other under that line is more important than you. That's definitely not the message you want to give to your clients. Absolutely. But you don't want to miss those clients either, because if a prospect is calling you, you're a personal injury attorney, and they just had a car accident, they're making a phone call to you. If you don't pick up, or someone don't pick up, they're calling the next attorney down the line. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of them. So you're going to lose that client. But that's why you bring in an Amata or a professional receptionist. Here's where the benefit. I've looked at that. I've looked at this for years and said, I don't want college students coming in answering phones. I want someone that they're vibrant, that like to talk on the phone. They love what they do, and that's all they want to do is answer phones. My longest serving receptionist has been with me 15 years. She's been a receptionist for 35 years. That's who I'm looking for, as a professional receptionist, that they enjoy doing that. They're not looking to do other things. They're not looking to do paperwork. They're looking to pick up the phone, greet that caller, there's a screen that pops up and that, we have instructions on how to answer every call, but also forms. Fill out a form that attorney, based on who the caller is, how they want it filled out. Here's the greatest thing. You could change your script the way that someone's answering your phone 24/7 at any time. You can just change that script. Or you can say, hey, I've been waiting for Joe to call me. Can you make sure you call me and tell me it's Joe and then transfer that call? It gives you so much flexibility on how you're answering those calls, but it just shows your firm is very professional. And you're never going to miss that call. What's a lost client cost you, right? We all talk about that as a small business owner.
That's
It's
right.
expensive. So,
It is.
and I think you got to find someone, and you don't want a call center. I'm not a sweatshop guy. Our receptionists, they actually work in law firm environments. They in small groups. So, and we have some that work from home now because of COVID, but it's just an environment where you enjoy what you do. And you can tell when you talk to someone, do you enjoy what you do?
Mm-hmm.
The old saying at Amata is, if it's right for our clients, it's right for the employees, it's right for the company. And of course, with my management team and everyone else, I say it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Just make decisions that are right for the client.
Yeah.
And if they're wrong, we'll sit down and talk about it later and we'll learn from it. But always don't just sit around and don't make a decision. Make a decision that's right for the client.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And I like what you said about they're there to answer the phones. They're not getting distracted on filing paperwork or running down to get Starbucks, or they're there to answer the phone so that when that phone rings, I bet they answer it within the second ring, right? And that's what they want to do. And how important is that?
Here's where you get these big call centers. It's all about metrics and numbers and how many calls you answered and how long you're on the phone. So how much money are you making? Usually because some investment bank has bought them up and it's all about the big dollar. And is that really what you want as a small business person? I mean, you want to have someone that cares. And, yeah, we're not as profitable on our phone answering because of that. I'm good with that. I don't, that wasn't my intent when I started the company. My goal was to make practicing law easier so it's enjoyable, there's less stress, less anxiety, and the attorney is able to serve more clients. I mean, it's a well-known fact that 75% of citizens in this country can't afford legal representation. So let's change the way the legal industry is operating. And that's what we're set out to do.
Yeah. And that's great, because what you offer is a suite of services, right, that allow a small law firm to practice as though they are much larger without adding all of that overhead of employees and things. Am I
100% correct? You take away the overhead and you start to match up your expenses to your revenue streams. I mean, look, I'll take it even a step farther. So if you have, say you have 3 offices with us, and one attorney leaves, an associate leaves, let's say, and you don't have anyone to fill that office, you can give me back that office with a 1-month notice. I want you to match your expenses to your revenue streams. I don't want you to be going, oh my God, I'm carrying this extra office. I don't have anyone to fill there. I got to go find someone. That's crazy. Practice law.
Yeah.
And make money, and have a good living. That's what we're all about.
Absolutely. The other aspect that you and I talked about last week or whenever was the idea of, and I think it goes back to the paralegal, I think, is you had one of your clients had a paralegal or something, and for some reason she had to stop working on Friday, and the attorney went ballistic because he's like, how do I unpack that story? Because I have some of the details, but how do you deal with, let's call it employee turnover from the attorney's perspective? Because that's a big deal when you have employees.
Absolutely. And I think we've all experienced at some point in time, we've been in business long enough, that someone leaves your organization for some reason, personal reason, doesn't have anything to do with the job. And that's what happened in this particular case. An individual's father was diagnosed and she decided, I got to go move and take care of my father. And it was kind of sudden for us. It happens in a handful of days. And she was a senior paralegal, so a lot of experience, so very unexpected. The attorney was in the middle of a large case. And so I won't name the name of the case because everyone would know the name, but and he kind of freaked out a little, like, oh my gosh, she's leaving on Friday. We're in trial next week. What are we going to do? And I'm like, that's exactly why you've hired us, because I've already got, first of all, we knew everything that was going on, and we already have her backup, working in the same office with her before she left. So next week we were ready to go. You didn't miss a beat. And after he settled down and the case actually got settled and things kind of moved on, he's like, wow, I got to tell you, that was exactly it's how you always said it would happen. If something happens, and here's the funny thing is, if she worked just for him, he wouldn't have had a backup. He wouldn't even had time to go hire anyone because he's in the middle of a case. So, when you outsource that, we're experts. We have a lot of people on our staff. We have a lot of backup. Everything you're doing, we understand. We're the appropriate people within our organization. So we're able to fill someone in right away, and nothing's lost in that scenario. And that was for us, that was a big victory, because I would say that law firm's grown very fast, but they've stayed with us for our support services.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great example. Thank you for telling that, because I mean, managing employees, when you start hiring employees, you start putting on a new hat. You're no longer the attorney. You are now the managing partner of your firm, and you're going to have to invest time in developing those people, in HR, in sick time, all of that. And with COVID now, I mean, who knows? I mean, or a flu. What happens when they call in sick? Well, if they're working with Amata, I'm sure there are ways to bring somebody else in to deal with that, because you don't know if you're going to have the 24-hour flu or the 7-day flu. But you know what? I've got a case that has to go to trial. I need somebody. If you're not working with Amata or somebody, what do you do?
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. If law firms would just stop and think about it, and the times they've been in a bind, wow, it just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Well, and you're I don't like all these trite phrases, but you're a one-stop shop. You don't have to, an attorney doesn't have to go hire an intake center and then turn over here and try to find a VA, and then go over here and try to find they call you, and you're sitting there going, what do you need? What do we have available that we can bring to the table for you? One point of contact, and you've got much of what they need covered, right?
Absolutely. And Mike, let's kind of expand it over the years. Your attorneys, law firms come and talk to me a lot. It's kind of my job. I talk to attorneys every day, and they ask different questions. Hey, do you know this? You know, a practice management software? Do you know an IT company I can work with? Do you know a marketing firm? Love the marketing firm question. Yeah, we do. In fact, we've recommended, this firm to 12 other law firms this past year, and they're doing a great job. There's two things. And I used to say this a lot. I don't say it so much anymore. We're in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and Kirkland & Ellis is the largest, most profitable law firm in the world. And I used to tell people I have more attorneys at Amata than Kirkland & Ellis has in Chicago. So I have buying power. So when I go to Clio, I say, look, I'm looking for the Kirkland & Ellis pricing. I'm looking for the best pricing you can give me, because I've got almost 800 attorneys now that I'm going to be offering this to. And if you think about the legal industry, 1.3 million practicing attorneys in the United States, it is the most fragmented industry that I can even think of, that no one ever talks about. They don't have buying power with health insurance. They don't have buying power with any technologies, no buying power with much of anything, because usually, like I said, 74% are in firms of 5 attorneys or fewer. Mm-hmm. That's huge. We're consolidating that, and you're still your own firm, but we have buying power. And you just tell us what you want, and we'll do the research, and we'll figure out what's going to be the best solution for you, and provide it to you. And then it's you to make decisions as to what you want to do. But I'm going to get you the best pricing that's available.
That's awesome. And it goes back to that word you used earlier in this interview, is leverage. And when you can leverage other people's resources, other people's knowledge, lower prices, time savings, because I don't have to manage 3 or 4 relationships. I've got one relationship with Amata that provides all that to me. When I can leverage that, and I'm paying for a service, my profits go up. I don't even have to do more law cases necessarily. I'm plugging a hole in the bucket, in a sense, right? To raise my profitability, so that when I do practice and settle more cases, I get higher profits.
Funny story. So, the law firms, how do you make more money in a law firm? And I mentioned leverage, utilization. Those are 2 key factors you want to think about. But I was listening to Michael Torpy, former managing partner for Orrick, one of the largest law firms in the world, and listening to him talk about law firms need to be more like the technology companies that they're chasing. Or maybe like a GM, General Motors, and his example, and I'm kind of borrowing from him, was jet engines. You know, they create jet engines, but the ones they're going to make next year are going to be cheaper to their clients, but they're going to make more profit from them. So a law firm needs to understand, I got to find out a way to offer my clients less expensive service, but yet be more profitable. Because, you know, the traditional thinking in a law firm is I can raise my rates or I can bill more hours. But how do you become more profitable, not touching your rates and not billing more hours to that client? Because it's directly against what the client is looking for. It's, you know, utilization, leverage. Go leverage other people's resources and quit thinking you got to hire all of your own people. Now, yeah, you got to hire some of your people, but once you get to that point of maximum utilization, don't go hire another person so you can start at 20% utilization and then build them up. Use someone else's paralegal until you have enough to say, okay, now I can bring in my own. That's profitability. That's how you make profitability in a law firm, and you reduce your stress and take care of your clients.
Absolutely. And really at the end of the day, you do that and life becomes happy because you're not working 90 hours a week. You've learned how to leverage things to pull resources, pull people together, simplify your life. You get to do what you hopefully love to do, which is practice law and not spend so much time managing people, finding new people, replacing people, interviewing people, all of that stuff that drives most of us business owners nuts. You've made it really, really simple for law firms, right?
You said a lot there, Michael. We could actually spend a whole nother show just talking about mental health issues that are in the legal industry, because it's hard. It's hard to be an expert at practicing law. The pressure to do the right thing and give your client the right advice is huge. If you're not a practicing attorney, you don't understand. It's a big deal. But you're still running a business. So you still got to be a business owner and figure out how to run a business. That's where you get so much pressure and stress as to how to do it. And of course, if you left a big law firm to go on your own, you still got to maintain your lifestyle and you want to make sure you got that income coming in.
That's right.
You know, mental health is a major issue in law. Law starting, some of the American Bar Association, some of the other associations starting to tackle it a little bit. We're just skimming the edge though. We got to find a way to make it, you know, enjoy it without all the stress, but still do a great job for your clients, because your clients they're depending on you.
Well, that's right. And it's, we haven't even talked about this, but when you have a service like Amata, taking care of these, I'll call them ancillary issues, right? They're not ancillary, but it's not the practice of law, but it's also not the relationship that attorney has with that client. You spend more time with that relationship, understanding them, building the trust. They're going to stick with you. They're going to come back. They're going to refer you to other people. Hence, you're going to be able to grow your practice on less marketing spend, because you're getting better referrals from your clients because they feel like you spent the time and you know them, because you're not dealing with all this other stuff.
That's how it should be. And then let's take it to that next level, because, you know, we talked about this, and I was just talking to a couple of attorneys that have a book. You know, here's the greatest thing, and you mentioned this to me, and I brought it up to a couple of law attorneys, and I said, when you just a family law attorney, and I said, you're going to settle that case, they're going to be happy with your settlement. Instead of giving them a card, give them your book and say, here, there's 3 of these. I know if you got friends, hand this out. Now, all of a sudden, you're the authority on what you're talking about. As an attorney, you're the authority, and guess where their friends are going to go if something happens. And, you know, it don't have to be divorce. Maybe it's something with you're adopting a child from overseas, whatever it is. You become that authority, and they're calling you, and all of a sudden, you got more business coming in. Now you're expanding your firm.
That's right.
But yeah, that was I think how we started, was like, gotta be an expert, be an authority of what you do. Everyone will tell you that if you're doing digital marketing, you're on Google, whatever, you need to be an authority. You need to be an authority to Google, right? Have a book out there that you're an authority on.
That's right. Yeah. And from there, you spend your time working with clients, practicing the law that you practice, and you hire people around you. I think it's Dan Solomon, the strategic coach, right? He talks about your unique ability, and then building a unique ability team around you doesn't mean you have to hire them all to be in your office. Just what you said. You reach out to Amata Law and say, how do you help me grow and be the firm I've dreamed of being without spending all that money, so that I can have the life that I really want to have. And that's what excites me about what you do and what you bring to the table for attorneys. So
it's fun. I love doing it. It's rewarding. So I believe we can make major changes into how we do things in this country.
Yeah, very much so. So I encourage people to reach out to Ron. Where can they reach? What's the best way if somebody hears this and says, "Dude, I need to have a conversation with you or your company." Where should they go?
AmataOffices.com, AMATA offices is plural.com is our website. You can always reach me at ronb@amataoffices.com. And of course, my phone number, 312-924-0204. I do answer my own phone. Or the reception answers and transfer to me, I should say, correct myself. But someone will answer the phone. I guess that's what I should have been saying. But I'm very accessible. Happy to talk to anyone, help them out. Even if you're not a client, you just got questions. I've been doing this for 20 years now. I've had this company, and its success is because I enjoy what I do, because I'm able to help other people.
Yeah.
We've talked about the successes, what's success like, and we don't have time to go into all that, but it's doing what you love to do.
Absolutely. That's great. And I appreciate how you help attorneys do what they love to do and do it with leverage and more profitability. So Ron, thanks for taking the time to be with me. And I just encourage people to reach out to you and your firm and see how you can help them simplify their life really through the suite of services you offer for attorneys. So thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Good talking to you today.
All right. Take care.